Hello. You may have heard the old saying, often attributed to the US President Benjamin Franklin, that there is nothing certain in life except death and taxes. Very true, I suppose. I look at my salary slip most months and mutter something to myself about the difference between the gross salary and the net amount that goes into my bank account. I remember working in Saudi Arabia and receiving a tax-free salary. How nice that was. Nobody enjoys paying taxes, but they are essential unless you live in somewhere like Saudi Arabia, where the oil revenues allow the state to function without the need for taxes. So today I thought we'd look at how tax varies around different countries. Firstly, how much is paid, and then how much is spent on the various services we receive. I'll finish with my own views on where it is wisely and less wisely spent. I guess that most people in most countries think they pay too much tax, but spare a thought for the Germans and the Danes, that's Denmark, where the citizens pay an average rate of tax of 40% and 39% respectively. They are followed by the Netherlands with 32% and Italy at 31%. Most developed countries in the study pay between 21 and 27% of their income in taxes. The UK is 25% on average. So where are those taxes spent? Well, between 25 and 45% of taxes are spent by most countries on what we call helping others. That is, welfare, pensions, unemployment benefits, etc. As an example, although I work, I still receive about £130 per month in child benefit. That's a payment from the state for having children. The Germans and the Danes, who pay the most tax, also spend the most on welfare, around 40%. So perhaps the extra tax they pay is offset by better benefits that they receive. In the Netherlands and the UK, the percentage of welfare spending is about 30%. I should add here, however, that certainly in the UK the government is trying to reduce this spending through severe cuts to welfare for those people who are struggling to make ends meet. In addition, some people refer to the pension black hole. As people live longer nowadays and continue to receive a pension until their death, the amount spent per year on pensions alone costs over £100 billion, and that is predicted to increase dramatically in the future. The state, in effect, cannot afford to pay for pensions, but has no choice in the matter. So there's quite a financial conundrum there for people to solve. Interestingly, the USA has the lowest bill for helping others at about 20%, perhaps because of their healthcare situation there, whereby, at the moment at least, citizens must pay for their own healthcare unless it is provided by their employer. Neoliberalism at its finest. The second biggest expense for the state in all countries is essential services like health, education and public amenities like road and infrastructure. This is between 30 and 40% for most countries in the survey. I think these are things that we all agree to pay for without too many complaints. Street lights, roads, children's education, libraries, green spaces, rubbish collection. All of these things make our lives more pleasant. The fact that we only really notice them when they are not available is testament to the efficiency of the operations behind them. For example, I remember living in Leeds in Yorkshire when the rubbish collectors went on strike, so they refused to work for nearly a month because of a pay dispute. The rubbish that built up along our street was very unpleasant. It was smelly, it was dirty, really not nice. But, you don't notice that it is happening when it is collected. We take it for granted. The third big spending area is security, meaning the armed forces, Army, Navy and Air Force, along with the fire services and the police and justice systems. And the fourth area is resources like energy, transport, the environment and such like. Let's quickly consider security. In the UK at the moment, there is a debate about whether to renew our nuclear missiles to bring them more up to date. The cost to do this is debated, but it could be anywhere between £20 billion, according to the Ministry of Defence, or, according to campaigners opposed to the new nuclear missiles, it'll cost about £100 billion. Whatever, it sounds like a huge amount of money. Well, it is a huge amount of money. But as a percentage of tax, the spending on security in all forms accounts for just 10% in the UK. In most other European countries, it's about 7%. In the USA, however, it's closer to 15%. Most countries spend a little bit more on education than they do on security. Denmark and Sweden spend more than twice as much on educating people as they do on defence. The UK is similar to most of Europe, with about 3% more on education than on security. In the USA, however, it's about equal. So let's look at quality of life for a moment as a way of introducing my own views on the spending of taxes. Denmark and Sweden are often said to be two countries with a high standard of living and a mostly happy bunch of residents. The people of Denmark pay a hell of a lot of tax, but they get this back in terms of the quality services and welfare. In Sweden, although they only pay 25% tax, the same as the UK, more money is invested in resources, i.e. the things that make our life pleasant, the rubbish collection, the parks, the green spaces, etc. So if I were in charge of the tax revenues in the UK, I'd reduce the amount spent on defence and increase the amount spent on welfare and education. That seems to me to create the best type of society. After all, who's going to invade the UK? It's not like the weather's nice, and we don't have much in the way of natural resources now. So all this spending on defence and nuclear weapons seems a little bit of a waste of time to me. Now I'm interested to know what you think. Is spending on the military a useful expense? Should the state help those who cannot find a job? Should parents receive money for having children? Should healthcare be free? So let's discuss that. Thank you.